Hi, my name is Lindsay and this is One Cat Crafting. I started this crafting YouTube channel a few months ago after efforts to set up an in-person craft meetup in my new town failed, and I got tired of people not showing up. I am here with an end of March, beginning of April update. It's going to be more ratchet and more janky than normal. I have about 20 minutes or so to get the recording done. My phone is propped up on a combination of Kleenex boxes and a portable speaker because my tripod's at home. But I won't have time to do this recording for probably another week, and I didn't want to get that far behind on schedule. So I will start by showing you the end of my craft journal for March and my setup for April. So I aim to podcast twice a month, once at the beginning of the month and once partway through. So you will have seen some of this before, but some of the information is new. Although looking at my cross stitching chart, I have not touched any cross stitch since the last time I podcasted. So this is my March layout. My stickers are from Hubman and Chub Girl. I have a journal, a newer journal subscription through that company. I've also been aiming to do a punch a day with a stamp shaped template just from random packaging that I come across. I didn't quite finish the month. That's okay, I'm sure I'll find some things soon. And then my three little pigs, again, layout from Hubman and Chub Girl. I discussed the sheep during my last episode. I ordered a Romney fleece from Iron Water Ranch, and that was part of the postcard that came with them. I started and finished A Vow in Vengeance, the audio book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. None of my book reviews will ever have a connotation of intelligence in them ever. 3 to me means enjoyable background noise. And that's all that I remember about that book that I just finished a couple weeks ago. The March goals, I'll talk about what I met. I'm not going to talk about the ones that I did not meet, to spin something. And that was a huge, huge thing for me. I had a whole nother episode recorded, or at least a voiceover recorded. I was going to tell the whole story about why I stopped spinning. And I've decided that was just too much information unless somebody very specifically wants it. The long and short of it is that I was on a spinning kick when we lost our dog in a way that was very sudden and very traumatic. And for the first time, despite having several losses and major life-changing events, I associated a craft with that loss. And I did not touch spinning again until earlier in March 2026. And it's been about 2.5 years since we lost our dog Solace. And the muscle memory that came right back was amazing. I'm right back to spinning a 2 or 3 ply fingering weight. No issues at all with remembering how to set up my electric eel wheel 6, which has been supplemented with the motor from the 6.1. I'm really proud of myself for doing it, and I have a healthy stash of fleece and fiber that need to be processed and spun. So I'm glad that I seem to have moved from that mental blockade of not being able to spin anything. I lost a grandmother and a grandfather when I was actively knitting with them while they were passing. And for whatever reason, I didn't associate knitting at all with not for whatever reason. It makes good sense that this was traumatic to me and unexpected. And the passing of a loved one who's lived a long, full, fulfilling life is less of a trauma, I guess. So I did spin something and I met that goal, and filed my taxes. So that goal is also met. I will go over my newer acquisitions since the time of my last podcast. I believe my new purchases were a seed order from West Coast Seeds to get some early planting done inside for my spring garden. I purchased some bulbs from Home Depot, and I bought another fleece. BFL is my favorite fleece that I've come across so far to process, to spin with, to card, all the things. I purchased a fleece from a lovely sheep named Henley. I will pop the particulars of the farm up on the bottom of the screen. I purchased Henley's fleece several years ago when she was just out of the hogget age range. She's an adult now. I still haven't processed it. I have washed it. I don't like to keep any of the fleeces that I have stored unwashed. I like to wash everything thoroughly, let everything dry unless there's something small that I'm planning on processing in the grease. And then I put everything in like mesh bags so that everything can breathe. And I store those in my craft room. So Henley's fleece is here. It is beautiful. I'm very excited, hopefully this long Easter weekend, to wash and dry that fleece if it doesn't rain and snow all weekend. What I have been watching, reading, listening to, I believe last time I mentioned that I had watched Broadchurch on PBS Prime. 5 stars, 5 hearts. Super extra, really loved it. Amazing show. Will happily watch it again. One of the best sort of mystery drama, murder drama shows that I've seen in a very long time. I also watched The Count of Monte Cristo on PBS, and I gave that one 4 to 5 hearts. It was very good. I am not going to be running to watch it again. I feel like once was enough for me, but it was a very well done show. I have watched all available episodes of The Pit, and I gave that 4 to 5 stars, and I'm thinking it probably should be bumped up to 4.5. It's an amazing show. I never watched ER, and now I'm thinking of going back and watching that. Correction, I have a memory of watching 1 episode of ER with my grandmother, but other than that, I don't think I've watched any. Noah Wiley is fantastic. Catherine Lanassa is fantastic. I love it. And my husband used to work in the medical field. So normally when I'm trying to watch a medical show with him, I get like the same way I am when he's trying to watch a legal show. That's not how you do that. That's not reasonable. That's not something that would happen. But he didn't have much to say about that, which is great. And I also watched, my friend Jen recommended The Killing to me, and I hated it. It was 2 stars. Probably could have gone down to 1. I try to use stars for books and hearts for TV shows and movies, but I mix my systems up. I didn't like the main character. He grew on me. I did not, and continued the whole way to not enjoy the lead female's character. Everything about her speech pattern, the way that she moves, the way that she walks, everything drove me nuts. Will not recommend ever, will never watch again ever. And then in talking to my friend Jen, she's talking about the redheaded actress, and The Killing has a redheaded lead. Long story short, I come to find out she actually intended for me to watch The Fall with Gillian Anderson, who, I mean, we both remember from X-Files when she had her hair red. So I watched The Killing for nothing and it sucked, and I'm now in the middle of watching The Fall, and I don't rate things until I'm done, but so far it's fantastic. It's almost as good as Broadchurch. I love Gillian Anderson. Anyway, so thanks Jen for that sidetrack. It was terrible, but I'm happy that I'm finally on The Fall. Reading, I read The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. I believe here's a little printout of the cover photo. I believe that was something that Bridget in the Museum Stitcher had recommended on her channel. I consumed the audiobook, and every character in the audiobook had a separate voice actor, or at least they were different enough sounding voices that I thought they were different voice actors. And it was 5 stars, amazing. I'm glad that I have that book in audio format to listen to again. I don't know if I would have enjoyed the print version as much, but I have a lot more listening and driving time than sorry, I'm falling out of my chair, than I do sit down and read time. So that works out just well for me. And I also believe Bridget had been discussing Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Here's a little sticker of the cover photo. It's hard to see. 0 stars, DNF. I friggin' hate it. I got a refund from Audible. Will never recommend. When I feed my cats something that they have been consuming quite happily for weeks and months at a time, and all of a sudden our female is like, no, I won't eat that. In my mind, her name is Miso. In my mind, Miso says it's stinky. We hates it. Like, we're not eating it. This book, stinky. We hates it. We're not consuming it. I hate it. I can't. It was awful. And here's the bottom of my page with my 3 little pig stickers. That was the theme for the month of March. Up here I have a little sort of comical axolotl sticker. We have some pet axolotls. And my husband and I have sort of stolen the line from Deadpool about Convivial Tuesday. And now randomly throughout the year on Tuesdays, we gift each other little presents. So he got me a Convivial Tuesday gift during the month of March, and that's the sticker that came with it. So I mentioned that I spun for the first time in about 2.5 years. I started on March 21st, 2026, which was my new start for the spring equinox, with a braid. Was it a braid? It was, I believe it's comb top that was then braided, from Small Bird Workshop, which was a Canadian maker. Unfortunately, they have closed their shop, and I'm super bummed. One, because she was a Canadian that I love to support, and two, because she had less common fibers available through her shop. The braid that I spun was called Beach Fire. It was 62.5% Falkland Corriedale, 37.5% mulberry silk. And what I wanted to happen when I spun this, and what seems to have happened naturally because of the difference in staple lengths of silk versus Falkland Corriedale, was that I wanted sections of gray from the Falkland Corriedale, and I wanted sections of the really bright, vibrant silk color without any gray, what do they call it? Barber pulling, when the colors would mix. So here's the back of the little tag. And again, this printer that I have doesn't do justice. It's just sort of, it's not in there as like a archival level journal. I have the braid with me, so I'll show you that. And then, so I can finish up this page in my book, on March 20th, 2026, I went to see a medium who was recommended, again, by Jen. And fortunately, this time she nailed that recommendation. I had a fantastic hour with this woman named Christy. If anybody is looking for an Ontario, sort of mid-central Ontario medium appointment, or is looking for a virtual appointment, let me know. Leave a comment and I'll message you her particulars. She was absolutely amazing. I'm also willing to share more details with anyone who is interested and shares my like woo-woo afterlife belief. Anyway, she was great. Here's her business card. I'll pop that as my little souvenir from there. And then my mom also sent me a card in the mail. I think the image is AI generated, but I mean, it looks like it's hand assembled, so I'm not sure. She sent me this in the mail. That was amazing. So I added that to my book for the month. I'm going to put that down before I show you April and show you the spinning that I have done. So this is, again, it was spun on my electric eel wheel 6.0, which I got through a Kickstarter years ago. And I have upgraded the motor to be the motor from the 6.1. My experience with the electric eel wheel stuff so far has been that if you're kickstarting something, know that it is like a larger scale prototype and there will be issues that need repairing. They are much more affordable than a lot of the other electric wheels that are on the market. Their customer support is fantastic, but everything I have from them seems to need fussing or upgrading or something, which is fine for me right now. My husband's happy to do that for me because I'm not allowed to use tools. I will injure myself. Down the road, eventually, I would like, maybe after I get the electric base for my drum carter, I would like to have a dataless wheel, but I mean, the electric eel wheel does what I want it to do, mostly when I want it to do it, and I'm happy with it. So this is the bobbin that I have. This is the entire 100-gram braid of the Small Bird Workshop. And you can see, maybe you can see a little bit of the sheen on the pink silk there. All of the silk colors are very, very vibrant. And I have a bag of alpaca from a farm in Ontario. I bought at a Fiber Fest years ago. Oh, I'm itchy. Squirrel. And I am spinning up that bag of alpaca fiber, and I'm going to 3-ply this silk, 1 strand of silk and 2 strands of alpaca. The alpaca is a very close color match for the Corriedale Falkland. Is that what it is? Falkland Corriedale, yeah, in the other braid. So what I'm hoping for is a lot of gray sections where the color is just solid gray, and then sections of this bright silk that peep through the 3 plies, like little bursts of sheen and color. I have one more bobbin in progress at home. I wasn't taking it off the wheel to show you another one of the same thing. The way that I categorize my stash for fiber is that one thing of fiber is 1 unit. I don't count it in grams like I do my fiber. So even though I have finished 2 plies of this bin, I consumed in its entirety 1 unit of this braid. So that means there's 1 unit out of my stash. It makes sense to me in my brain. So here you can see is my little tally for the month of March, fiber in, fiber out. I got Henley's fleece, so that entire fleece is still 1 unit, and I used up only that 1 braid in its entirety, so that's 1 unit out. What else did I want to say about that? Hopefully next time I podcast, I will have that 3rd ply of alpaca done. I will have used up the rest of the bag, so that's another unit out of stash. And I will have my finished yarn plied and washed and ready to show you. I skipped right over elder stash mal data. I didn't finish any of the projects that I have on my needles with elder stash this month, so my stats remain unchanged from my last podcast. I have about 29,000 yards of yarn purchased in 2017 in my stash, and about 32,000 yards purchased in 2018 still in my stash. I'm doing the elder stash mail. I've mentioned it, I think, on every episode with Jen of the Stash Down Diaries, and I will tag her channel in this video. The one active elder stash mail project, how am I doing for time? I got like 10 minutes, that I have on the needles is, I think this is my 6th or 7th, and I'm in the beginning of a row. Ripple Bralette from Jessie Made Designs. I picked it up. My marker gone? No, I did so little that it's up at the top. Ripple Bralette, I had was it 3x1 ribbing for the base and a 3x3 ribbing for the body. And I've backed out the 20 grams that I need to knit the straps at the top of this garment and the little triangles on the chest. So I use up my whole skein until I run out, and then when I get to that 20 gram ball that I've backed out, I will start the triangle straps and stuff. My April layout in my book, again using my Hubman and Chub Girl stickers and journal subscription. So this is my April layout for tracking how much cross stitch I do. Last year I used a book of days, and this year I'm finding with the addition of a craft journal to my journal ecosphere, I think is what all the cool kids are saying, that it was just a book that had only one purpose when I could consolidate it a page a month into here. And there's dog hair in my mouth. This is everywhere today, boy. My April setup for acquisitions and stuff. I'm not going to talk about anything that's come into my stash in April yet. I'll do that at my mid-month podcast. But that is my April setup for my fiber ins and outs and my grid for my stamp a day. If you can see that, it's just little pencil ticks so I know where to put things. And I think because I'm at the end of my book that is that. I did some early planting of seeds and bulbs and potatoes inside in peat pots and cardboard pots. So those are still happily growing away. It's still way too cold in my area. There's still ice in my backyard to have stuff, in the ground this time of year. So we'll have another probably 5 or 6 weeks before I trust Mother Nature enough to get stuff outside. Before I transfer things from in the house to outside, I will show you a video of what all has grown and tell you about the many things that I have killed off. Recurrent dreams. And amazing news for me, my long-standing issue with recurrent theme dreams, my newest strategy for combating those was to completely ignore them. I had tried journaling about them. I've tried everything I can think of. Medication adjustment. I have tried not listening to books and podcasts before bed. I have tried meditating before bed. I've tried a whole bunch of different things. And I don't know if it was me ignoring them, but I don't want to say it out loud, They have seemed to stop for the last month or so. I haven't had any recurrent theme dreams that I remember, which is amazing because I was having at least one, usually two or more a night, every night, about old jobs and old relationships and stuff that I don't want to be thinking about anymore. So I'm very happy to say that those have stopped. Oh, I guess I have time for a little ditty. I've got maybe 7 minutes left on my clock. I was in a Zoom event yesterday with multiple legal professionals. And my boss and another lawyer were off sort of in a caucus room, Zoom room on the side. And left in the room were multiple other lawyers and our two clients and a court reporter. And our clients don't have much disposable income. And I'm assuming that our court reporter, assuming that she didn't come from generational wealth or something, is, working hard to pay the bills. And the conversation that I listened to but refused to take part in was very interesting. It started off as a, hey, did anybody get away for the winter? And turned into what I felt was very much a pissing contest about who has the most and the most expensive cars, trucks, ATVs, houses, condos, cottages, who has been to more parts of the world, who has been to this private beach where you can maroon or whatever it's called, park your yacht. And it was a really uncomfortable conversation to listen to in front of two people who are struggling to pay the bills and another couple people who are just doing their hardest to get by. And it just left me with the ick. There are people in my circle who are well off and have all of these things and all of these experiences, but they don't talk about them in such a braggadocious manner. It's more like, I had this experience and, it made me happy and, I own this thing and it works well for me, as opposed to straight out bragging. It just gave me the ick. And this is like day 2 or 3 of me having the ick from this conversation. That doesn't happen a lot, but I just want to say to people, read the room, and be aware of the privilege that you have, whether that is the color of your skin or your sexual identity or your gender identity, or flat out the amount of money that you have and the privileges that give you, to just take a second to reflect on, things that you have that other people might not have, and recognize that everybody is living through something that we know nothing about, right? The person in front of you in the drive-thru, you don't know what their day-to-day life is like. You don't know if they're having the worst day of their life. You have no idea. And just to kind of, I guess, keep yourself in check a little bit if the opportunity comes up for people to brag about something that they have. If the opportunity came up for me to talk about all of the wonderful crafting supplies that I have, if this happened in a group of other crafters, and there were people here in the group that didn't have the money to afford the basic supplies. I mean, there's obviously a range of yarn, but if there were people that didn't have the money there to afford basic supplies, the time to talk about, my drum carder and my 2 spinning wheels might not have been that conversation. So just have a little bit of environmental awareness about, who's listening to your conversation, and just recognize that not everybody is as blessed, and not everybody is as fortunate, and not everybody is as privileged, and just try to be kind to people. I mean, it's part of my job that I chase and hound people to get what I want when I want it all day, but that doesn't need to be done with a lack of kindness, I guess. Anyway, that is my 23-minute podcast for the end of March, beginning in April. I aim to be back in about 2 weeks to talk about the crafting that I have been up to. Hopefully I get my cross-stitch bug back. And I think that's it. Happy Easter to all who celebrate. I do not, but I will take the long weekend, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.